Hello you guys, welcome back to the channel. Slightly unusual Harris Hawk video this time around. I'm always getting calls and messages, emails and things from different people regarding falconry and often help something or other with a Harris's hawk. And a recent one last week prompted me to sort of think about this video. Myths surrounding the Harris's hawk especially. Now, I had a chat with some friends on social media about their idea of Harris hawk myths, and apart from one, they all sort of thought along the same as these top 5, but yeah, you could kind of go on quite a while, so I think there might be a part 2 and part 3 to this video in the future. World of Falconry, don't forget, my last article in there was a Harris hawk article. It's one I'm really proud of, and for those idiots on social media that think because I fly an eagle, I somehow look down on Harris hawk flyers, how ridiculous. I'm absolutely passionate about Harris's hawks. Have a look at that article. I'll put a link in the description. It might be helpful, might be interesting for some of you guys. A bit windy now, hope it's not interfering. So the myth I'm going to start with was the one I was contacted about last week. The superior Harris hawk. So John Smith rang me, he said, Dave, I'm getting my first Harris hawk soon, and the breeder said it's a superior Harris hawk, and when I asked him what that meant, he said it'll be as big as an eagle and fly like an eagle. Okay, so going back way beyond when I was young, beyond my falconry career, when Harris's hawks were being bred in captivity in the UK, F1 generation, wild caught imports, breeding, producing falconry stock here. You've got small Harris hawks, you've got medium Harris hawks, average Harris hawks, and a few whoppers. And at the time, there was a superior, not because they were superior, but a race from an area in the States called the superior Harris hawk. What's I'm trying to say? A subspecies. Now, I believe that subspecies has long been changed by people that talk scientific names, and it's no longer recognised. But there were Harris's hawks around when I started falconry, when I was sort of a late teenager, middle teenager, late teenager. And I remember one lady flying one, and I think its flying weight, proper flying weight, was just short of £3, £2.12, £2.14, something like that. I forget the weight, it was monstrous, absolutely enormous. Now, that was a good heyday for Harris hawks, and even things like red tails, back in the 70s, I guess, but 80s and 90s, certainly into the 90s, there were people breeding these birds, but they were still related to wild stock closely, F1 birds. So my hawk, Nigel, his parents were F1, so the first generation in captivity. And they were worth a lot of money. There weren't so many around. People, breeders, were breeding some great hawks. Nowadays, Harris hawks are bred by every Tom, Dick and Harry in their back gardens, often from utter rubbish, birds that are utter rubbish. I'll continue this in 2 more minutes. Sorry about that. Matt the gardener popped in for a chat. So there we are. Those were the days. Back in the day, there were some super Harris's hawks. There was a subspecies known as the superior hawk, the superior Harris's hawk. Not so now. Now my Zara, she flies hunts really well at £2 7 ounces, proper hunting weight. She'll fly at more than that. Nigel, he hunts at £1 10 ounces. He'll fly all day long at schools and things like that at £1 12 ounces. So if you really know anyone that properly hunts with their Harris's hawks, bigger than that flies a female at hunting weight, substantially more than £2 7 ounces, you let me know. But as far as I'm concerned, nowadays there truly is no such thing as a superior Harris's hawk. There's no such thing recognised taxonomically, as far as I'm aware, and there's no such thing in UK falconry as truly humongous hunting weight Harris's hawks. So myth number 1, the superior Harris's hawk, it's not really there. Well, if you know me in my videos, you know what number 2 is going to be. Probably should have been number 1. You don't need to hood your Harris's hawk. Oh dear. Now, of course, you don't need to hood your Harris's hawk, and you don't need to hood any bird of prey at all, do you? You don't need a swivel, and you don't need jesses, and so on and so forth. But it seems that the Harris's hawk, especially, you don't need to hood a Harris. Goodness me. No, you don't. Find out why falconers have been hooding birds of prey for thousands of years. do some research into why we hood falconry birds and even display birds. What's the purpose of the hood? Don't ask someone that doesn't know about it. So don't ask Fred, who also, your mentor Fred, who's got a Harris's hawk, and he says, "Whoa, ridiculous, you don't hood your Harris's hawk." Find out for yourself, do some falconry research, why hooding birds of prey is a superb part of falconry. It's actually is falconry, and it's a massive welfare tool in many, many different circumstances for your bird. You don't need to hood your Harris's hawk. My goodness, the lads that know how are skilled at it, are proper falconers. They know how amazing that bit of kit is. Three, you can word it how you like. So you could say, you can't lose a Harris's hawk. Or you could say, you don't need telemetry if you're flying a Harris's hawk. All these don't need. If you're flying a bird of prey here in the UK, captive bred, they're not taken from the wild, so they've got no place in the wild whatsoever, you should be absolutely using telemetry. If you can't afford telemetry, you can't afford to be a falconer. It's that simple. I can't afford to be a F1 racing driver. I'll never be one, never could have been one, can't afford it, accept it. Telemetry, however you want to install it, massively important part of falconry nowadays. Modern falconry, flying birds of prey that aren't indigenous to wherever part of the world you're hawking in. You should always use telemetry, absolutely. Equally, my goodness me, generally, I don't know, 99% of Harris's hawks in the UK are flown by beginners or novices. They can lose their Harris's hawks without telemetry. They can lose it 20 feet away under a bramble patch. I've had skilled top level falconer friends of mine lose their Harris's hawks, and it's only been their not only use of telemetry, let's get out the wind, my goodness, it's only been their use of telemetry and their skilled use, as in they know how to use it, that have got their hawks back. So if your Harris hawk chases a rabbit out of sight and then goes down the rabbit hole, yes they do regularly, to find that rabbit, or they've been pulled down as they've tailed the rabbit with one of their feet, you will never find that bird without telemetry and knowing how to use it in that situation. You can easily lose a Harris's hawk, especially if you're a novice. No matter what, always use telemetry within UK falconry. It shouldn't be an option. It's not an option. Use it or don't be a falconer. Let's get it out the wind. Bit noisy for the old iPhone out there. Now, here's one for you then. Harris hawks aren't as fast as goshawks. Myth? Technically, no. In a straight line, over 50 yards, the fittest goshawk and the fittest Harris's hawk, the goshawk is going to win that sprint. The trouble is, of course, the myth is therein that we believe that Harris's hawks are very slow and goshawks are very fast. Not the case whatsoever. What is the case is an unfit goshawk is noticeably faster over that initial sort of 60-yard sprint than an unfit Harris's hawk. What we also know is there's a higher percentage of goshawkers that are good falconers than there is percentage-wise, I think, or certainly numbers-wise, with Harris hawkers. So for the most part, as mentioned, Harris hawks are flown by people that aren't absolutely dedicated. They're flown by novices and they're flown by what we would call weekend falconers. If you fly any bird of prey at the weekends only, it's a shadow of what it could always be. Unfortunately, the way the Harris hawk has sort of changed UK falconry, probably worldwide falconry, and how popular it is as a hobbyist's bird. Remember, falconry is a passion. You can't really do it well as a hobby. We see so many utterly unfit Harris's hawks being flown by people that are happy with the success or lack of that they have, that really the average Harris hawk seems an incredibly slow, tiresome bird compared to probably the more average goshawk. If you actually fly your Harris's hawk 6 days a week, hunting various game or even one kind of game, 6 days a week, being flown really hard at game, your Harris's hawk will not look like a shadow next to a goshawk. In fact, I'm going to say so much as, if you've got a properly fit Harris's hawk, the 5% of them in the UK, and you were living off the land, that would be the bird to have. Easy going, way less stressful, way less likely to get lost, and certainly capable of catching all kinds of things, including feathered game on the wing. But you've got to get those hawks superbly fit to really see what the Harris hawk actually can be as a falconry bird. Harris's hawks, they are not slow. No way. Number 5 on this list, I think there'll be another one. Number 5 on Harris hawking myths is that you can't go ferreting on your own with your hawk. It's not doable. Too much stuff to carry, too much to worry about. You need a third person, well, that's including the Harris's hawk as a second person, to actually ferret rabbits to your Harris's hawk. Absolutely not the case. All my Harris hawking and goshawking with rabbits and ferrets, not all of it, but 90% of it, carried out on my own. You need to be proficient with your hawking, proficient at ferreting, understand both disciplines, and then it's more than easy to do the ferreting on your own. You can carry 1 or 2 ferrets over your back, you can wear your falconry vest, telemetry over your back, a small foldable shovel in your backpack, in the back of your vest. And of course, if it all goes wrong, and you've got to dig, and you're worried your Harris hawk will get bored and disappear, and there's nowhere to tether it to that it's not going to start getting upset and damaging feathers. Yeah, but if you could hood your Harris's hawk, you can tether it to your ferret box, let it sit on top out of the way, calmly, not banging feathers, not trying to go down rabbit holes, not getting bored, going off looking at game somewhere else. Ferreting with a hawk that's made to the hood is very easy indeed. The trouble is, one of the problems is, most falconers that I see ferreting are only ferreting because they've become falconers and have started hunting with birds of prey. They don't really understand the ferreting properly. On club meets, the noise people make, especially over or around a warren, they'll stand on the warren and drop the ferret down and think their hawk will have a better chance because they're standing on top of the holes. Come on, if your bird's any good, you should be standing 20 or 30 yards maybe back from the warren and be totally silent. And if you're not on your own and you're with someone else, don't talk, don't light a fag, be silent, drop the ferret down, move back. Think about the wind, think about the lie of the land, think about where the rabbit's most likely to head for. It's more than possible to successfully ferret and hawk on your own at the same time, without a doubt. But learn both disciplines properly before you bring them together. She's gorgeous. I hope you've enjoyed this short video. There'll be more of these to follow for sure, because it's actually been quite fun looking at just how many kind of myths there are around Harris hawking especially. Often repeated parrot fashion on social media as absolute fact, when really they're mostly 90% myth. Steady on, we're going back out in a minute. Please like and subscribe. Oh, check out the link in the description for that magazine article and have a read of my last article on Harris's hawks, just because I'm quite proud of it really, and because I want you to realise I'm passionate about Harris hawking. and I'm passionate about you guys doing it to the best of your ability, for your sake, Falconry's sake, and these guys' sake. See you soon.